Islam family. So it's Monday, May 14th, 2012, 1432 Moorish calendar. We took in a dissertation yesterday by Brother Chief Nanya Shabbu. So if you're there, you got that. Probably have it on YouTube in a minute. So we'll just open the meeting with a prayer. I'm Tesba Sarbe, of course. If you don't know, chairman of this temple in Canaanland, Moorish Holy Temple of Science, Moorish Divine Movement of the World, all the levels we're here to represent. So we're going to get into some trust information, some information on Garvey, and the usual, what we do. So the 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Mother and Father of love.
Mother and Father of love.
Truth. Peace. Freedom. And justice. Allah is our protector.
Allah is our protector.
Our guide. And our salvation. By night. And by day. Through his and our holy prophet. Drew Ali. Amen. Ameen. Ashe. Hotep. Islam. So, just wanna give thanks to everyone who comes to meetings, either in person regularly or online. And for those who can't make it, we feel you in the spirit, so give thanks. And keep doing what you do. Keep up to date with what's going on. So this is the first letter to be proclaimed in every meeting. That was dated January 18, 1929. Dear brother Islam, I'm glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials in the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as an American citizen, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they themselves may take charge of the situation. I have notified these things to you long ago in the past. It is to the faithful Moors that contribute to the movement and the uplifting funds. I just want to make a note that when you read this from the Administrative Functions booklet, okay, the word movement is capitalized and uplifting funds, capital U, capital F. Okay. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. This is why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, all caps, and I need it bad. Never before have I needed finance as badly as I do at present, that I may shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. Okay, so that paragraph is crucial, because what we're going to get into is information on trust. And if you've gone through basic concepts of common law trust, right, then you'll come to understand, especially when it comes to an express trust, how that is declared and what goes into setting that up, right? Because this is part of that. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without me, the prophet, being the head. It has been proven by my work in which I have performed in the last few months, because I was at the governor's inauguration to represent the Moorish Divine and National Movement, and I will be at the inauguration of President Hoover for the same reason. Okay. So he mentions some of the reasons why he has that fame and ability and why there's jealousy, right? However, knowing that he had enemies, knowing that there is jealousy, knowing that Moors are going to take it into areas that it wasn't supposed to go, and become complacent, and make it like church, forget the civic side, right? Forget the finance, in the proper perspective, right? So there's temple dues, and we know there's temple dues, and he talks about temple dues in other parts of the administrative functions booklet, in other letters, right? However, like I said, going back to this second paragraph, he mentions it is through the faithful Moors that contribute to the movement and uplifting funds, right? The capitals on the first letters. So this uplifting funds is a title to something, right? Well, when we study, we know that Drali, right, created a trust for the land, right, northwest of Mexico, right? Um, the trust is outlined in Circle 7, right? And the Quran Questions 101, right? Because in the Circle 7, it talks about Egypt being the capital of the empire at the time. And in the 101s, it tells you that Egypt, the capital dominion of Mexico, right? And then it explains that we are descendants of Canaanites, Moabites, who descended from the land of Canaan. They got permission from the Pharaoh, right, to come across and settle in these lands. Right? Well, someone makes a claim like that, to most people, they think of it as some sort of, or intuitively, you might just think it's like a religious thing, or it's just, it's sort of a motivational thing, or he doesn't know what he's talking about. But in fact, at law, you're making a claim, and the only way the claim can be disregarded is if it's disputed, right? So, because it can't be disputed, because it's true, right? You now have claim to a lawful claim to the land, in the sense that if you put interest in it, saying that, well, regardless of what happens, I want that square mile over there, right? Yes, because I believe I deserve it. Well, at law, you have your claim, and if no one disputes your claim, right, then for all intents and purposes, that's yours. Right? They just had on the news I was watching about the Philippines and China, some uninhabited island. A reporter from China goes on the island, puts a Chinese flag up, and that's their claim. Like they're telling you, like at law, like that's, and they're saying like they're gonna have a war over this. They're gonna have a war over
Right, and that's the democracy versus the republic, right? Because it's about jurisdiction. Because the first issue is status.
exactly.
So their status being Chinese, putting that flag there voids their claim. Just like the person saying, I'm Indian, so I need to get a tax break. Okay, sure, we'll give it to you. Because you're in our jurisdiction. Right? Not because of their claim, right? This is what Nanya was talking about yesterday, right? That using the indigenous name, that you can't be, unless, like, if you're, for example, if you're gonna say the straw man, for example, right? The straw man is gonna be all capital letters, right, with an address in the city of Toronto or city of Mississauga, city of whatever, right? ON, right? And then a postal code that they call postal code, right? That's that whole thing, right? That whole demonstration of a residence, quote unquote, is a jurisdiction. But domicile is also a jurisdiction, just like conveyance and motor vehicle. But it's all about jurisdiction, right? And the superior claim, if there's an argument, if there's a dispute, right, with two people making a claim, right, the first thing that they're going to look at in order to determine whose claim is legit is the status. Like, what's the status, right? Status trumps everything, right? That's why they said United States of America, defendant in error, right? And Marcus Garvey, plaintiff in error. Because both of them are, like, you can't have a European going against a European. Because Garvey is a European name, right? And United States is a European corporate entity. And they'll never have Europeans going at European. Because it's a conflict of interest. Because they can't make that claim here. This is the Americas. This is not their jurisdiction lawfully, right? Especially back then. Right now, they can do it because they've trained people to, accept the fact that that Chinese flag's there, right? And now that they accept it, then that's what the norm is going to become, right? So when Noble Drew Ali makes the claim that I brought you your name, your religion, and the title to your vast estate. Nobody, Newsweek didn't bring out nothing. New York Times didn't bring out nothing. Toronto newspapers or whatever. Nobody refuted the claim, right? Not because they don't publish it doesn't mean that they're not down with it. They understand it, but why would they publish that, the Moors have reclaimed the North Gate, Maghrib al-Aqsa, Morocco the farthest west? Because if they put that out there, now you have a problem now. Because there's people that are over here that are making a claim that this is U.S. And they put it on the map and everybody's down with it. China putting the flag in the indigenous Moros land of the Philippines, right? Putting the flag in. Yeah, that's like, what are you doing, right? And they have a right to say that we'll go to war over that. Just even to touch on this quickly, right? Marcus Garvey, right? Because remember, we're still talking about trusts and that there's this claim that's made, right? A claim's made, and the claim is that, forget about the Henry Turner suit when he sued the United States and got land back. Forget about that. Now, I'm claiming everything back. I have the flag right here that I found in their vault. Right? That's it. That's in their Library of Congress. Right? The only problem with the Library of Congress is that you have to go there. You can't do anything over the phone and get anything. Like, I tried. It doesn't work like that. Right? Their first thing is, especially when they're talking to Moors, like, yeah, come here, come. Like they said, come to the Library of Congress. Because I can't really, like, send you everything that you're asking me for. You know what I mean? Like, I can send you this list of 15 books that we have here, having to do with the Moors only in America, right? But I can't send you everything, right? Even if you pay, I can't send you everything. But if you come here, you'll see it for yourself.
And there's that much,
right? And that there's that much of it,
yeah.
right? That they're not hiding in any, secret lodge or whatever, right? Because it's like
So that
everybody's saying it. Everybody's saying it in a different way. You know what I mean? The black people are saying it, that they want the unity or whatever, right? The Negroes are saying it, oh yeah, they want unity. So the African, Pan-Africans, if you go down the line, everybody, right? So Marcus Garvey, right? The true solution of the Negro problem. So everybody holds up Garvey and honors Garvey, right? So he has the solution to the Negro problem, right? As far as Negroes are concerned in America, we have the problem of lynching, peonage, and disenfranchisement, or disfranchisement, right? In the West Indies, South and Central America, we have the problem of peonage, serfdom, industrial and political governmental inequality. In Africa, we have not only peonage and serfdom, but outright slavery, racial exploitation, and alien political monopoly. We cannot allow a continuation of these crimes against our race, as 400 million men, women, and children, worthy of the existence given us by the divine creator, we are determined to solve our own problems by redeeming our motherland, Africa, from the hands of alien exploiters and found there a government, a nation of our own, strong enough to lend protection to the members of our race scattered all over the world, and to compel the respect of the nations and races of the earth. Do they lynch Englishmen, Frenchmen, Germans, or Japanese? No. And why? Because these people are represented by great governments, mighty nations and empires, strongly organized, yes, and ever ready to shed the last drop of blood and spend the last penny in their national treasury to protect the honor and integrity of a citizen outraged anywhere. Until the Negro reaches this point of national independence, all he does as a race will count for naught, because the prejudice that will stand out against him, even with his ballot in his hand, with his industrial progress to show, will be of such an overwhelming nature until the Negro reaches this point of national independence, all he does as a race will count for naught, because the prejudice that will stand out against him, even with his ballot in his hand, with his industrial progress to show, will be of such an overwhelming nature as to perpetuate mob violence and mob rule, from which he will suffer, and which he will not be able to stop with his industrial wealth and with his ballot. You may argue that he can use his industrial wealth and his ballot to force the government to recognize him, but he must understand that the government is the people. The majority of the people dictate the policy of governments, and if the majority are against a measure, a thing, or a race, then the government is impotent to protect that measure, thing, or race. If the Negro were to live in this Western Hemisphere for another 500 years, he would still be outnumbered by other races who are prejudiced against him. He cannot resort to the government for protection, for government will be in the hands of the majority of the people who are prejudiced against him. Hence, for the Negro to depend on the ballot and his industrial progress alone will be hopeless, as it does not help him when he is lynched, burned, Jim Crowed, and segregated. The future of the Negro, therefore, outside of Africa, spells ruin and disaster. So Marcus Garvey telling you that the Negro, which is black, so the Negro and the black position, because Negro translates to black. So if they can say, for example, Kemet means land of the blacks, when Kemet's really supposed to translate into some Kemetic language, not English, then we can say, right, that Negro since that's Spanish, and should translate to Spanish. But if they're going to translate to English, we're going to say, okay, well, Negro means black, so then Negro and black are the same thing. So Marcus Garvey in this is talking about Negro people, and he's talking about black people. And then those black people are also labeled colored. Hence they're a minority. Right? And which is who he's talking about in this. That they're the problem. That they don't want nationhood. They don't want nationhood. Do they lynch Englishmen? Do they lynch Frenchmen, Germans, or Japanese? He didn't say do they lynch, troglodytes? Do they lynch, Nazis? Do they lynch yellow people? All these are nations. Whether they're European or otherwise, or Asiatic, they're nations. And why? Because these people are represented by great governments, mighty nations, and empires, strongly organized. But how are you going to have a mighty nation, a great government, and an empire without any land? And this is the seriousness of no bourgeoisie coming. Prove him wrong, right? Because if people are gonna say, okay, well, Noble Drew Ali, whatever he brought is, that's not the way for our people, right? Okay, how come I can have a driver's license, right, and I could have a nationality card, right? Both of them, right? I could go to one notary, and one notary is gonna say, well, if I'm gonna notarize your thing, I need identification, okay? And it has to be government issued. So, okay, here's the license. And he's going to take it and he's going to do whatever he does, put the seal or whatever, right? And some notaries I go to, well, we're going to have to see identification. Okay, well, I'm indigenous. You have any government issued ID? No, this is the only ID I have. Then there's obviously something going on, right? Things aren't really as they appear, right? And nobody's ever outside of the Moors, because Moors do it too. Like, they don't take the profit for really what the profit is. They take it just like, just another way to swindle people with some info. Get people to get down with their thing, because their thing is the one that is set up perfectly. When Prophet said, before you were even born, the Prophet said, right, that he took all the secrets away and he made everything. So that's why all this information is coming out right now, because what the Prophet did. Right? Think about it. What was the literature during that time? The Prophet's time. Right? They didn't have William Cooper and these people that we have right now. Alex Jones and whoever. Right? All that, whatever you call it, metaphysical and all that information was around, but that was hidden in the secret circles of the Europeans and the Moors. And Moors including, Arabs, as they call them, and Berbers and Tuaregs and Cherokee and Chippewa and Algonquin, Iroquois, right? Moors in the Philippines, on Easter Island, in Australia, on the continent, in India, Russia, Germany, wherever, right? So we have the superior claim. And the only reason we have the superior claim is because of Noble Drew Ali, right? That's the only reason. Like, like, we can say, okay, about false prophets and whatever, yeah, he's not even a prophet, okay? But too much things that he said from 1913 that wasn't happening and it wasn't even in the minds of the people that certain things were going to happen. And he said that they're going to happen and they happen, right? There's nobody really before him that we can, pick. Everybody else is after him, right? Garvey just said nationhood. So, the legal problem is that he doesn't have a nation. He's stateless, under peonage, disfranchisement, because he doesn't want to realize that status is the first issue. And depending on your status will depend on the claim that you can make and the claim that people are expecting you to make based on your status, right? So like when like what Nanya was talking about, if he put a lien on the queen, right? If he put a lien on the queen, because the queen is a private corporation, you know what I mean, and that's what corporations get, right? Then like Canada's really not anything now. Like it was nothing before, but now it's really not anything. There's really not something called Canada right now. Even the private corporation, because they say that they hold allegiance to the queen. Okay, well she has a lien on her. So if she has a lien on her, and again it comes back to the claim. When somebody makes the claim and nobody challenges it, then it stands. That's just what it is. It's not any trickery. So when we say things like this is yours, right? When we say this is yours, Noble Drew Ali said this is yours. We're not talking about Circle 7 and Noble Drew Ali and Moorish literature. Like we're talking about your estate is being given back to you, but it's for you to claim it and do something with it. It's for you to put the stick in and say, yeah, like this is what it's about. And that's really the only way that it works. You ask any more out there, if it wasn't until they said, you know what, I'm just gonna say, okay, I'm a Moor, and then something just happened, right? Even the way people deal with you changes. Like things are different, right? You become part of humanity again, right? And we're gonna keep going back to Nanya L, because like he said, you don't have to say that you're a Moor. Say you're indigenous. Say you're Aboriginal, right? If it's such a problem, Negro, Black, colored people who think, yeah, well, Moors sold each other into slavery and all that, okay, fine, cool. I understand your perspective, right? Okay, say you're indigenous. Say you're Aboriginal. But then the problem comes up now that when you say that you're that, you need to connect yourself to a tribe now. Exactly. So what tribe are you going to connect yourself to? Because the oldest tribe, according to the UN, who everybody says, well, those are the guys that have the authority, whether they're bought out or whatever, they have the authority. All right. Well, they say that the Washita tribe is the oldest indigenous tribe in the Americas, right? And one of the princes of the Washita, Ali Melbay, that we can call to have a conversation on the phone, right? He's Washita. And he says that he's a Moro, even though he's Washita, and the UN recognizes the Washita as the oldest indigenous nation in the Americas. He says that he's a Moor. But he also says that he's Aboriginal and indigenous, etc. Right? Right? Because that's the status. And with that status, you can make any claim. You could put a lien on the Queen if you have your status. The only reason why he was able to do that was because he has El and Bay on his name. Don't think that has something to do with paperwork or, you know what I mean, his thing was signed properly or he had the stamp on the, all that's protocol that you can use. All that's just activity. Just like you get up and you put on your sneakers. Right? You put your stamp on your document. That's just something that we do. That's not nothing spectacular. Right? The power is in the title. And only Noble Drew Ali said it. I never heard Elijah Muhammad say it. I never heard Marcus Garvey say it. I never heard W.E. Du Bois say it. I never heard like any of the so-called black African, Pan-African, etc. leaders say, I brought you your name, your religion, and the title to your vast estate. Quote unquote. Nobody. When name, religion, and title to vast estate is what Negro black colors are complaining about that they need in order for them to get liberated and to have salvation and and there it is right there, and you don't want it because you think he's wearing a funny hat, so you don't want to support him because he's wearing Arab clothes, and Arabs are the ones that came in slavery because Marcus Garvey Jr. did a DVD about Arabs in slavery and said how the Arabs were the ones that put us into slavery first before the Europeans. Like, okay, and Chinese put each other in slavery too. Everybody put everybody in slavery. So what's the problem? Why are you emotional? Just claim what's yours and be done with it. Claim what's yours and then say we want rights. Claim what's yours and then say, yeah, we want to, make a complaint against the police because they're coming in our community and killing our black children. Say they're killing your black Moorish children, or your Moorish black children, or your Moorish Negro children, or your Moorish Christian children, or your Moorish whatever. Just put more on it so that way you can make the right. When you make the claim, people aren't going to look at you like, oh, whatever, just another dumb nigger trying to get some rights when you're not going to get any. And we'll just, you know what I mean? Jingle the stuff in front of you. Give you a little bit. Right? We give you a little bit. And don't want to get it. Right? So the trust. Right? He's entrusting this vast estate to you. Because he knew that he was going to get taken out. So he's going to have to do something with it. Either he's going to put it to the next right-hand man down, who might be a sellout. So do I really want to give it to him and hope that he does it? Or should I just throw all the money off the roof and whoever gets what, gets what? Just don't kill each other. But it's there. It's like, I can't do anything else. I'm not going to give all this to this one man. Right? They tried to take me out. Right.
So, when we talk about taking a claim as someone who was entrusted with something, then we're talking about becoming a trustee. Right? So, in the handbook, under trustee basics, first and foremost, anyone, man or person capable of taking physical possession of or legal title to property can be a trustee, and there is no limit to the number of trustees who may serve in any one trust. Generally, where there is more than one trustee, the trustees with respect to each other are referred to as co-trustees. and when acting jointly as a collective body are referred to as the Board of Trustees. So in that one paragraph alone, right, anyone can be a trustee who can take physical possession or legal title. So you have the title and you're capable, and there's no limit to the number of trustees who may serve in one trust. So anybody saying, well, you know, maybe it's better that you put it in one person's, you know, people were selling out and knew that people were selling out. So, like you said, throw it off, and whoever realizes, hold on, you know what I mean? Because after all the literature that he wrote, right, he kept saying, well, you know, the Moors, and this is your vast estate, and you know, this is your flag, 50,000 years old, and you know, been here from before the Great Earthquake. Like all that stuff is reinforcing that claim, right? And then all of the letters to Moors to be faithful and to contribute, that's the invitation to be a trustee. Here, take, right? Make the claim. And then when you look at the setup, right? He didn't set up a group or club, you know what I mean? Well, you know, this guy will be the supreme, you know what I mean? You know, grand elder, you know, and he'll, you know, and then we'll you know, get him up on stage and have, no, like he set up a board. He set up boards of trustees, right? He said every temple is to have its own executive, right? And its own laws and customs. Right? So the people who have positions, whatever positions they're taking on a position just like someone in the board of trustees. So, if you're secretary in the temple, then anything that has to be dealt with in the trust, you can act as secretary. Right? If you're chair, then you can act as chair. So, and then all of that also is synonymous to government. So the concept wasn't, well, you know, Moors are back, so we're a government and just, you know, pick people and run a government. It was, well, run a temple, and if you can run a temple, you know, then run a trust. And if you can run a trust and you can run a temple, then, like you said, I'll keep the European here long enough to teach you government.
And all this, you know, like when they say, when the Black Power people say that the Moors are following a European perspective, right? Because, you know, Moor breaks down from Europe, and you know, the relation is not like it's not evident. Like, yes, there's relations with Europeans and Moors, right? But, you know, who was the subordinate? The Moors weren't the subordinate. We were never in the subordinate position. Even now, we're not in a subordinate position, right? Because it's the people's claim. The offer's been made to them. Are they going to accept it, or are they going to just pretend like it wasn't offered to them when they knew it was offered to them, right? Like Moors have been telling people, you know, join the Moor Science Temple. I don't want to join because they make up some excuse why they don't want to join. Okay, cool, no problem, you know, because it's your birthright. This is not our ideal that we're bringing to you. This is how you used to run your government. Your governments were trusts. Since ancient times, there were trusts.
They have all the sway.
You know, it's not something new. These are ancient principles that, you know, recalibrated to now. It's trust. Where it breaks down to, right? That you know, hand the house down to the children. That's why you come over here in the first place from the islands to buy a house, and then you hand the house down. So now we have some property that we could say is ours or whatever. Yeah, you could have built that. You could have built like 500 houses back home with all that mortgage payments, right? That's dead paper. You know what I mean? And you could have came over here with your nationality, because by that time, right, you know, everybody would have been told and everybody would have known, everybody fesses up and all that, and we're just, you know, navigating as usual. Family, right? And then we allow other people to come here because, you know, that's just how we do. That's Europe. You know, they know we brought them out the Dark Ages and all that. The Moors did it, not the Africans or the Phoenicians or the Nuwapians or the Washitas or the Moors brought Europe out the Dark Ages, right? Not because, you know, we were trying to help them, but they were around us, and we don't want you bringing those stuff around us. So how about we fix up everything around here? Because you guys don't know what you're doing. Again, because you did that in Rome. You fell then. Same thing, right? And how come they always fall? Because they always want to try to take over the trust. When you can't take over the trust if you're not a trustee. It's not going to work. Like, it can't work. You know what I mean? It can't work. Right? Ancient wins.
Because we'll just go, we have a definition here from General Mufti. Thanks. So noun, firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something. Verb, believe in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength. Synonyms, confidence, faith, credit. Right? Confidence, faith, or credit. That's trust.
Trust. And what's prophet always talking about? Oh, you who have faith in our prophet. You who have faith in our prophet. If you have faith in the prophet, this is good. Oh yeah, the 3-step ladder. Yeah. You know, belief, faith, fruition, and mastering the self and all this type of stuff. Right? In the definition of trust, faith is in there. That synonym, the synonym of so every time we see faith, that Noble Drew Ali said, we have to replace that with trust, so we can broaden our perspective, right, and really get what's being told to us by the prophet.
It is through the faithful Moors who uplift to the movement, right, or who contribute to the movement and uplifting funds, right. So you could input faithful, you could input trustees.
I still don't understand that language.
Well, because he was
right on time. He wasn't sinning. He didn't miss the mark. You know what I mean? Bullseye. Every time. Every time. Yes, it's love. Right? Every move that he made, every single move that he made was for the Moors, not for himself. Like, that's why we honor him. And we want people to take serious what he brought. You know? But we've tried it out here. Right? Like Moors have you know, went to the mental house for a month because they had faith in the prophet and what he brought them, right? And Mars goes through tribulations out here, right? It's not no easy trek, you know. Like we know that, you know what I'm saying? It's not like it has to be this dramatic, you know.
What do you think could have been like, besides the brother standing in square, like, if there's anything you think that he might have like went wrong? Not per se wrong, but like, where he didn't present the right information for his claim. Like, how do you think he could have made his stance any better? Like, and what would be the things that he would have to have done to have had a better stance?
Yeah.
Like with the situation, just like anybody. Like
Oh, just like in general?
Yeah, like say like,
well,
like the brother just
well,
a month.
yeah, but see the heavy part about it, right? What's serious about it is that he knew that was his trial for what he was going through. So it wasn't like to him like, oh, I'm in the freaking man house and these people are whatever. Like, you know what I mean? He was telling me call him there so he could, you know what I mean, use his free national name and talk to me on the phone, you know, being in the madhouse. Like he using the office phone, the mad people's phone, the office people. I'm calling there, talk to them, taking messages or whatever. Yeah, Shaquille there, yeah. Right? Man's calling me back, yeah, I got the message, you know. I'm using the man house because he said that he's a Moor and they don't have any jurisdiction or whatever. Obviously, he's not, you know what I mean? He's not crazy. So there, a lot of the moves that the other side does to us is to intimidate Negro black color people because they know that they're punks and they won't do anything, right? Like yeah, go ahead. Just talk up loudly. Yeah, talk up loudly.
Operation Fez, when they tried that the other day.
Yeah.
On the road.
Right.
Nobody's never heard of this. What was that?
The 407. That's the 407. Yeah. Operation Fez. Yeah. Operation Fez.
They practice.
Yeah, it's a thing that they do.
Yeah, no,
you know what I mean? It's a move. It's a move.
It's chess.
To get people,
that's what they
you know, because really that's the key. You know, like Garvey is saying, the Negro is the key.
Because the nation is the people. The government is the people.
The government's the people.
Yeah.
So all they have to do is get the people to think that, well, they're not even considering birthright and the fact that, like there's Moors. Like I know Moors personally who go in the court and then say that they're Moors or whatever, and judges saying, dismiss. Or they go to the courthouse and then before they even go in, they're like, oh yeah, don't worry, your thing's done today, you don't have to come back or whatever. Right? Why are they doing that? Not to get out of a ticket or to get out of you know what I mean, like some fine or something like that. They're doing that so that nobody else could find out about it.
But okay, so like say they're like they're taking advantage, trying to put fear in you, like make you back down.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm trying to figure out like how to say certain Moors went to court and their thing was just dropped.
Yeah.
Where others are going to court and still being incarcerated.
Right. Or what?
Is there a difference in what the two parties have done that has led to their outcome? Like,
me personally, I just think it's if you know that, then You know what I mean? Nobody bothers you. You know what I mean? It's like when we say I'm a more, right? Like what's really going on in the mind to stimulate the chakras and all that, so that, you know what I mean, you're projecting what you actually are saying. Because you'd have to think about it before you say it. So if there's no thought to generate the momentum, right, that's going to be emitted when you say I'm a more, or I'm indigenous, or I'm aboriginal, right, then, you know, it's a toss-up. Because whoever you're talking to, because most times, like you asking that question, most times it's because of us being in, you know, that court jurisdiction or structure or whatever, right? So they already know. All those mans study the sciences and they know about energy. They already did our birth date check to see, you know what I mean, where the moon's gonna be when we come to court. So they already know. They already know the triggers. They already know what to say to make you, you know what I mean, miss a thought or whatever. Like they have it down. They have think tanks and stuff. All they do is analyze us, right? So a man who goes in there and says whatever and his thing gets dismissed, right? It's the frequency that he's on. But the man who gets trapped, he's not getting trapped because he did something wrong. He's always getting trapped because they're trying to intimidate somebody else to not do what he did.
That's an example. And I'd like to address what I was saying a while ago too, about specifically you asked if the person who had spent time in the mental hospital, why did that happen to that person? But historically, no matter where you were in the world, anytime there was a prophet or any type of a revolutionary and people were following this person because of what they believed in and the faith they had in them, somebody had to go down. You know, no matter who it was. Those who followed Jesus, they were persecuted as well. But the Buddha, even in this century, or the last century that we're living in, Makiguchi and Toda went to prison. Toda died in prison for his faith. But they never stopped because they knew what they were believing in, what it was that they believed in. Their faith was absolute. So we have to understand that we are under occupation here. And this is a fairly new concept and it's growing all the time. Like our brother was talking about Operation Fence. They know we're here. They know the momentum. They know how this organization is growing. They know ultimately they can't stop us, but they can't give up without a fight. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
You know, they have to try whatever they can. They can't just let us walk through.
Yeah.
You know, they know we're going to walk through eventually, but they don't want to make it easy for us.
So, also to add to that, probably look at it in the divine sense that the ones that are probably facing the steeper climbs, it's probably for a reason, because you're able to handle these things. You know what I mean? And others, maybe for whatever reason, they get the lives to get. You know? But it is what it is. You know, it's not going to crumble sometimes.
Sure.
It's like those we talk about the way we live. So how we live is how it's going to come back.
Well, yeah, I would say a lot of my situations of that matter, if it went bad for me, like someone looking from the outside seeing it would think that, oh, it went bad for me.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm like actually in a way a bit happy. Like I'm like, I want it better, but this is a lot better than what I even expected.
Yeah.
Like why, you know, I expect not to see daylight again.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? So and then a lot of times too, I also feel like there's something that I did, not even related to whatever I'm being, you know, going through the court business for. There's something that I did, and then that karma, I always feel is what's causing the outcome more. Like if it's like not so favorable outcome. Yeah. But then I can think of those those things, and I kind of justify it, saying, okay, I had it coming regardless. Like, you know what I mean? Like, karma, I know I did my wrongs, and sometimes the karma just catches up to you.
It's
Because
fun.
you're facing the prophet.
Yeah, it's funny how
So
that triggers it.
Yeah.
Something like that would trigger you to bring up something that you gotta come to terms with. That's what I was talking to my empress about, the whole prison thing. You know, it really it came from the word penance. And penance is something you can't force somebody to do. It's up to a man. That's within the thing. You know what I'm saying? That's why when you face those things and then it triggers that thing, then you gotta come to amends with it and say, you know what, that did do certain things, and you know, you gotta come to amends with it, because before you never did. You know what I mean? You thought you got away with it, but something came back and said, yo, remember what you did? Yeah. So,
Then potentially has some more meanings besides that. It comes from Eno. And you know the root word of casino. The cards at the table.
Yeah, so we'll just make sure we speak up, because I think Brother Disa said that some of the when we if you're not in front of the laptop, pick it up.
I also say too that I feel like we've recently made some great strides. Like, we've come across a lot of, unveiled a lot of information. Like, certain, it has brought forth a lot of things, like the trust guide, and the whole back to the 101s, a lot of things like that, which I feel like in court systems, that's even given us more weight on our claim.
The more you know, right? The more we know as a collective too. You know, 'cause, like you said, it's not, sometimes you won't even get tested. Just walk in, fessed up, and but it's just, it's all like chess. You know, like they're the same thing, right? If you play chess, yeah. So you know, sometimes you'll just let a pawn come all the way up to the gates. You know what I mean? So the brother Adisa was saying about mentioning give thanks, mentioning that the temple could be thought of as a third party beneficiary to this trust, because if all Moors are supposed to be making this claim, then whoever is even in the temple right now is not, we're not like, you know, the beneficiaries. We're like Taj said, the nation is out there. Like all Moors have to like acknowledge some way, shape, or form. Like you don't have to stop what you're doing. When you walk in, okay, so now you're whoever you were, hella bit. You're you know what I mean? Whatever, architect, then I don't know, just you sign your work differently. Right? Whatever it is you do, or whatever group or whatever it is that you're in, you have to acknowledge that it's about nationhood, right? It's nations. And so when we talk about third party beneficiary, if there's, you know, how many 500 million Moors in North America, then whatever temples are set up, they're not, you know what I mean, the rulers of all that land. Because there's Moors who, you know what I mean, haven't been born yet, who are Moors. And they're gonna, you know, they haven't come into the information yet. Right? So it's a claim, but we need to have some sort of unity too, right, in order to really activate the thing. Right? That's what Drew Ali mentions, page 96. That is called "Think This Over, You Moors," in the Administrative Functions booklet. Every business transaction, or anything pertaining to finance is to be transacted in the name of the Moorish Science Temple of America, or Noble Drew Ali. We Moors must maintain a grand treasure, just as in the days of our forefathers. Then you are a nation. Until then, you are nothing. Right? So, 2 lines, right? The first line, every business transaction, everything is to be done in the name of the temple. Right? Why? Because if you're a trustee, everything that's going on the whole continent, you're a trustee of this vast estate, then all of that has to come under your responsibility, or you have to be taxing it or something, right? It's your land. But you can't use, you know what I mean, a straw man to do that. Straw man has no claim. You have to be yourself, right? So later on, right, we have, okay, so the second sentence, so we Moors must maintain a grand treasure, just as in the days of our forefathers. Then you are a nation. Until then, you are nothing. Right? So those two together, one he's talking about a third-party beneficiary, right? In the second sentence, he's talking about a grand national treasury, right? For finance. Right? Who did he name as his forerunner? Garvey. Right? That Garvey would have been the grand national treasurer. Garvey L. But that doesn't mean that we aren't trustees, and we shouldn't be being responsible for carrying out what's in the trust, right? Our responsibility as set out by the settler, the person who established the trust with us, right? And he said, maintain a grand national treasury, right? He said, pay your dues, right? He said, be faithful, be ready and stay ready. He said, uphold the Constitution, right? So all these things are the duties of the trustee. Right? If you're willing to uphold those duties, then you have the right to use all the resources of the trust because you're upholding the duties. Right? That's the rights responsibilities balance in that relationship. Right?
Again, the contracting and offer and acceptance.
Offer and acceptance.
Right?
And then
Proclaim your nationality. Now you have to do this or whatever. Proclaim your nationality.
And then the trustee handbook says, once acceptance has been tendered, no court of common law or equity can prevent the trustee from holding that office except for breach of trust or good cause dependent upon clear and lawful necessity. And if you know, court of equity and common law courts are obviously dealing with law, either law or equity. And those are beyond the legal system. So once acceptance has been tendered, no court can prevent the trustee from holding office. In other words, it's back to natural law.
Yeah.
Again,
that's why also Drew always said that when Moors come into the temple, right, they would be sheiks, because that goes in line with the Herds of Rice statute and having certain titles that fit right in there. That based on your position, based on your status, right? Based on your status will determine whether they have jurisdiction or not. And most of the time, they don't have jurisdiction because they're corporate. Even if you don't say Elbe and you say you're a European name, right? They're still a corporate entity.
Using
Speak up a little louder.
using our national name versus the straw. Are we keeping the straw? Are we terminating straw? What's the whole purpose? Do they act joint together depending on what you have to do in society, or you just basically stepping up for your options? How does that really work? Like we're supposed to in the sort of having do all new business in your national name.
Yeah.
So basically that's telling me that straws. Dead.
Right. But remember also too that him talking was before straws. Like there were nationals back then, right? Like as far as like the bonded instruments, right? That was until the stock market crashed, where they had to try to figure out how to get make the collateral so that we could pay the debt.
Because of him in the first place.
Right? Because they were in the first place. Right? So the actual fictitious entity, in my opinion, is used with reservations of rights at all times, without prejudice. UCC 1-308, UCC 1-103. Whatever name. But if you're dealing with the all caps name, always never ever use that name without reservation of rights. Having knowledge that we have.
In any country.
Right? In any country. Otherwise. Whatever.
You should have brought something bought something or brought it back to the store. Like $10.
It's because
It's steady now. Let's passport off.
that's just
Anything government, I do that with anything government. Everything else, anything I do now.
anything you sign, anything they say sign here, and there's an X and a line, all rights reserved, without prejudice, and sign over that. Or best thing to do like Brother Amari, get it on one of those little rubber stamp.
Yeah, he's got the stamp.
So you just stamp it and then sign over.
Yeah,
the full one, like the full one, the official one.
Without prejudice. Yeah. Stuff on your lives, yo.
You don't have to get it.
No, it's ordered. Like you order it, So we'll just talk to him and we'll get them in bulk, because that's the one right there. Yeah, you just stamp it, right? So the free national name part now only comes when you're dealing with other free national beings. If you're not dealing with free national beings, it doesn't make sense using a free national name, because they can't deal with you anyways, because they're probably corporate or foreign or alien, which
So it's just because the times we're in, straw is here, and if you have one, then you just continue.
Yeah, especially if it's good and its credit's good and it has whatever, right? That's good, because now that you know that it's what it is, and you know that it's not really you, and you're really just circulating your own credit that is really yours, because you're the one that's been putting the energy into this thing for all this time. Then you reserve your rights and you run them up and give back to the prophet what he said has to get done, so that things can get established and we can get moving again, because that's what they're doing.
Contribute to the uplifting funds.
Right? Like, don't forget that
this kind of leads into like new coins. Where would we stand on that? Like, how would you handle if you had a new coin?
Yeah, reserve rights and everything.
So you still like birth certificate and whatnot.
Because don't forget, anything that we're doing, right? Anything that we do, right? As far as in the quote unquote matrix, right? Is going to be done with complete reservation of rights. If you're going to go into the matrix in your free national name, right? Then prepare to get blocked a lot. Because certain things that you ask for, you know, there's very huge perks that come with your contracting with somebody else. That's not national.
Here's a good example. I was doing my daughter's we call that when you're going to do registration of birth. If you hadn't done it, we've been using her baptism, right?
Yeah.
Now that's not useful anymore.
Yeah.
So I sent this thing in, I reserved my rights.
Yeah.
And signed my national name, but they sent it back. They didn't accept it. They
Yeah.
said, as I have reserved rights on it,
Right.
they didn't want nothing to do with it.
What document is this?
The birth registration. So I had to do it without it.
Yeah.
I had no idea what it was. Well, you do it, finish this out. My name's on it. That's the law, whatever. But you finish it out. We'll do it later, but they weren't going to accept it.
Yeah.
Because that's like the beginning, right? That's the
And,
rules. That's the rules,
and
right?
then that's the and at that point now, right? That wasn't a bad thing. Yeah, that wasn't a bad thing, right? Because they're basically letting you know that we can't deal with free national beings, right? And if they can't deal with free national beings, then you know
Tells you something.
that tells you, you know, why am I contracting with these guys?
Exactly. I can't get anything out of this.
I can't get anything out of this. There's no benefit to me being involved in this if you're not going to let me reserve my rights. Yeah, this guy knows what's going down. Like we're not gonna, you know, right?
So the question is to ask, does it benefit you to do this with them? You know, to have this paper? The only necessity is make it easy for my daughter to get into society, so you know, working and all that. Right now, it's difficult explaining all this to children at that age, right? But it's just a matter of making life simple for now. But for me, moving forward, you know, that's something I'm teaching them. They're not ready to accept and jump on it.
That's where I'm at with this. It's like, for me, it's like, we can't continue in this route. The way I say that is because it has to come to a point where we have to do it nationally. Like, to me, it's like when you get born and you sign the baby up, there, you've signed them up. You know what I mean? But if the baby's born and you don't sign him up, then he kind of got a leeway into what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like, and then on top of it now, because then, you know, mothers are going to be crying saying, well, they need support, all of these type of things, which the government is supposed to supply to you, like going to school. And like, then there comes the question, how do we go to school? For me, it comes back to what the prophet says again. You got to uphold the Constitution. Those are your rights. You have a right to health care. You have a right to go to school, and you have a right. All those type of rights, the things that they give you through privileges, you already have the right for. It's just the fact that we're all signing up the babies from birth into the privilege game. So it's and it comes back again. Once again, it's like, where are you in your life right now? Can you make this stand? Like, are you willing to go 5-10 years battle against them in court to win the rights for your child to go to school, and you still don't have to do all of that birth certificate and all that other stuff that the privileges do?
And most people aren't there. That's why we're saying, okay, reserve your rights on it. So at least that way, if you reserve your rights and then they try something, you can fall back on your nationality and at least have some type of recourse, just for the simple fact that you reserved your rights on it. But just because people are like, we keep bringing it up too. That prophet said, "What's all you Moors doing here?" Right? The amount of y'all that are going to be saved, I could count on one hand. So not too many people are going to be down with, doing the 10-year fight. Majority of people aren't going to be down with the 10-year fight. But if we can create a stamp, that looks cool, and they can just they don't have to write anything. They just stamp it on there and sign over that, and that becomes standard now for them to, maneuver on that level until they get to the level where they say, okay, well, why am I reserve rights anyways? Let me look these things up and see what these mean or whatever, right? And then they get to a next level. But it's like, yeah, ultimately, it's not even about going up in the not getting anything from them.
So
the hell, for what? You
this
know what I
is,
mean?
this is, you gotta look back in retrospect. The information we all coming into now, with myself too, in retrospect, do you kind of wish that your parents would have put something, you know what I mean, early on? So now you gotta kind of correct that.
Yeah.
Now, don't put a cap on it, because that's what you're doing right now. It's like, I'm gonna put a cap on it now because of this. And maybe, who knows? Your parents probably, somebody's down the line probably said something to them in regards to this information and said, and looked at you and said, you know what, I can't be bothered teaching my son this and this. And, and history has a way of repeating itself when you don't study it. So this is deep what you're going through in regards to that. So maybe you should, give him a call and say, yo, you know what, I think my year not come back.
That's right.
Like the fight has to start somewhere. Somebody has to start with your family.
That's real.
Pass it on to your children.
That's why. That's what the answer to the question that people always ask, like our people, like how did when you start studying the greatness of whatever it be it Egypt or Kemet or Phoenicians or Moors anywhere. Oh well, we were so great. Like, how did we fall? Like that right there, Islam. That right there is sort of a brief, right? That's an analogy of that, right? But in a concentrated form. Right? What happens within the family, literally, like, you don't even think, like, like obviously back then when generations losing knowledge, right? That was something that probably would have hurt a lot. You know what I mean? So just keep that in mind, like as you go forward, like you know what I mean. The hurt that they felt, it's time to relieve that, like giving the information back. Now we're on the other side of the swing now. You know what I mean? Now we're increasing in knowledge, right? But it's just because what did the Circle 7 says? Man perishes from, or just the analogy, man perishes from lack of knowledge, right? Like literally, like, perish because generation said, well, no, we can't even. Well, if you go back far enough, there was Inquisition, so maybe I'll just like let my son like pass as a Christian. He's passing, and then when he gets old, shut the door real quick, and do our salad, and we put our fence back on or whatever. Like that's just it. It's just people want like hard evidence or whatever.
Yeah, but those were survival tactics, and we're not supposed to just be survival. We're supposed to be beyond survival. Time for building.
Right. Like I said, we're on the other and the swing to increase, like knowledge increases. Right. And like personally, what I found, like I said, the two lines that I read earlier, or the line that I read, we Moors must maintain a grand national treasury, just as in the days of our forefathers. Then you are a nation. Until then, you are nothing. So, because you're entrusted with the land, then you don't need fiat. So the fiat's supposed to go to the treasury, right? And then you're a nation. Meaning, like, literally won't need the fuel. But as long as it's in 1,000,001 different hands, then 1,000,001 people are gonna each need twice as much as each one has. Put it in one pot, and then there's, you know what I mean?
So
It's not even about that. Then it's prosperity for everyone.
so once we set up our trust within the vast estate, things will be flowing, basically flowing to a treasurer or to a treasury per se. Like if we're using
Well, the trust is set up.
right, yeah, the trust is where we all have to, take our part as trustees per se.
Yeah.
Right. So how that's how.
Right.
And then I was saying, as we're doing business in our daily lives, that fiat that we're using per se is then flowing back to a main treasury within.
Yeah, whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever you can,
Understand how that works.
right, whatever you can afford flows back to the treasury, right? And the treasury, it says the treasurer should, hold on. So, therefore, a trustee's liability is largely determined according to the particular circumstances of the situation, especially contracts where the trustee has properly limited his liability via qualified signature. Okay. Right. So, when we talk about the trust, right? When we talk about the temple, when we talk about the Grand National Treasurer, that's like a governmental position. That's someone who could take finance and be able to say, well, we don't even, like, we're not even using this, right? In the way that a normal person can use it. We're a nation, so we're gonna exert certain power, certain authority, right? Because they have the diplomatic skills that they know how to, you know what I mean, interact with other diplomats. Right? It's not like, yeah, it's not like it's there so that necessarily we have to use it. Like the land's ours. It's there, right, for the diplomat to use, or for the treasurer to use, right? In the beginning, I mean,
So
the
really one
trustees.
can just claim their property to have a house now or they pay one, they shouldn't be paying the first price. Just just claim it. Manually speaking. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, like you should have a title, a lineal title, for wherever you live. Like create it yourself, because if you don't, right, it goes back to again the claim.
And with that though, say if you were to do a loaded title on your property, stop paying the mortgage, they're gonna mess with your straw in other ways, like credit wise. They'll be like,
Yeah.
No,
but that's what I said.
ways
Before
they can get the straw.
before you even stop paying, you should have a title.
Before you stop.
Yeah, you should have a title.
Even if you have it before. But I like, okay, so if you make a title, your which would be your name and your logo title, whatever. Yeah. And then you stop paying mortgage. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. They're still gonna come at you at your straw man in other ways. Like they're gonna claim that,
Go through that whole nonsense.
like, yeah, you know,
Yeah,
you
but
could,
eventually,
you could win.
it has to go to court.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
but they're
And,
gonna
and that's when it's who has the superior claim,
Hey,
the guy with a Lodial title or the guy with with bondage
Right,
paper
right.
that's in China right now that he doesn't even have in his possession because they already sold it 50 times.
And in the end, you have to remove anything they've done to you.
Exactly, and pay you back for all those mortgage payments that
Yeah.
you've been paying for the past 15
yeah, but
years
that's
or
what
whatever.
I'm saying though. You're gonna
Right.
have to go through a long period of
Yeah,
time without
yeah.
no fiat and
I mean,
no credit. Like if you have credit and you start doing that, they're gonna shut that credit down.
yeah,
But at the same time, you gotta develop other ways to create finance in your life.
Right.
So
Oh,
you
I
don't need
understand.
credit.
yeah,
So then that's not a problem.
that's
Yeah.
where the
Well,
that's that's where the thing comes in about
where
the
you are.
unification,
Yeah.
right?
That's-
Because I don't have to be on a ship. Like we had a store, but nobody's not united around here. The Negro black color is not gonna come shop at our store because we have cultural stuff. Then
And-
these type of guys aren't gonna come because we have some Phil Valentine sex DVD or something, right? Oh, well, that's against what I believe in, so we can't go support. But Europeans will be coming in, Arabs will be coming, and Hindus will be coming, and Pakistanis, and all these people will be coming. But our own, which is the majority out here, they don't come. So it's still not amounting to what it should because our own aren't even down with it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's not really a big deal. You know what I mean? To like, for example, like with the credit, like that's not even theirs. So, like, it's not even your credit. It's all capital letters credit. It's not yours. So, what do we mean that? Oh well, they're gonna mess up my credit, then I can't do anything. And then that's where it comes in. Well, are you a bead maker or drummer or a singer or a mechanic or something? Like, I know there's something that you do that you can say, you know what? Yeah, I could actually apply this and do this full time. Like, yeah, this could work. You know what I mean? Right? It's like
along those same thoughts, but yeah, again, it's what you're saying that only we have to support what we do.
exactly.
Like if a
Everybody
man
else
is
is-
gonna
Everybody
drum,
else is.
everybody gotta come and
Yeah.
exactly come and dance. But yeah, so
Right.
it's
But
not.
that's just
I
where we're
don't
at.
feel nothing is hard for us to do. The only thing that is hard to do is to let go
Of
of the
fraud.
crib,
Yeah.
jump out of the cradle,
Mhm.
stop being the baby.
Yeah.
Take your affairs amongst men. Start being a man. Everybody think they're independent because they have a job
Mhm.
and they own a car that's costing them more money than they make at
Mortgage.
their job. And so, and then in the end, you owe $5,000, $10,000 on the car, and the car no longer works. So that's
Yeah,
that's not
that is not
independence. Independence is what work have you done for food to come out of the ground?
Yeah.
That's when you can feed yourself. You know what I'm saying? And then that's what will allow you as well the time you're going to need to build a finance using whatever other skill you have. So, and yeah, it's come down to me, the biggest thing is that step there, that we have to let go of the straw. We have to let go of these things that we're holding on to right now. And it's all in the straw. Start being a nation. Start helping one another, supporting one another.
And again, the nation's out there. The nation's not with us because we know about this. The nations, the people who don't know, that need to know about this ASAP. So we could be a nation, and now we can start making claims now, and everybody can claim what they have. You know, not paying your mortgage has nothing to do with electricity and heat. So once you pay those guys, you don't really have to worry about anything once you pay those guys. You know, and they don't mind. You know, all they want is their monthly, right? Just like the mortgage guys want their monthly. But you know, who's more legit? Who has the superior claim for, you know, pay me? I'm a bill. The mortgage guys or the heat and electricity guys?
Just set yourself. There's an exchange there.
Yeah.
You receive
Right.
something.
They're not just going to your account and taking it.
Right?
Right. Yeah. Right. But it's like again, you know, a lot of it comes back to, if you only took Noble Drawley serious since 1913, we wouldn't be here right now. It coulda, shoulda, woulda. Since we're here, how about we take him serious now? Right? Because prophecies are still going on right now. Prophecies that he said were gonna happen, and are continuing to happen. And the people wouldn't even take a second to consider the prophet. Right? They consider everything else. Everybody else. People they don't know about. People who hook on those people. And they still go behind them. I wouldn't even consider the prophet. Like just take a sec and just consider that, hold on, we tried everybody else. You know, we tried this guy and this school of thought and this way of life and this and everything always leads to a dead end. Everything leads to a dead end. Everything's led to a dead end, and history repeats itself, so everything's going to lead to a dead end. So are we going to embrace this Moorish culture that we dashed away, right? Because we didn't get the full perspective, you know. It's like people want to dash away Moabites, you know, say that that's because of incest. Well, I mean, if you really want to talk about, you know, if we're talking about the first people, right? And a woman was for a woman, and then she had 2 children, and then the earth was populated.
Exactly.
Well, I guess, you know,
At some point that had
everybody's
to
into incest then, right? You know, right? So, well, what are we gonna do, right? There's contradictions in everything, but you still have to say, okay, well, you know, you have to pick a side. You can't ride the fence. You can't ride the fence. Even just riding the fence, like eventually you have to pick a side. You have to jump off on a side. You have to, right? You know, because it's not like when and you know, we could probably use this as leading into, if there's any questions or whatever from yesterday, that we could bring those up. We have, you know, 25 minutes, half hour left. So let's talk it. So that
his talking, sort of his speaker's sort of directive towards sort of discounting sort of sort of teachings, I guess. Sort of, I guess, sort of seeming to imply that these things were old and dated,
yeah,
and that we weren't, and that really we shouldn't be following this.
Yeah.
I sort of found that to be where I am sort of coming from to be difficult
Yeah.
to comprehend, because to me, not only is it a national movement, but it's a divine movement. And to me, he is the divine.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering, what I think I realized is obviously to me, a sense, it's the same thing sort of with this religion or dogma. The lesson is sent down, and people have their own filters. So this gentleman's filters were, you've got to create suits. So that's what it seemed to be, right? I mean, that's what I got from him yesterday, right? Which is really about attacking the system.
Yeah.
This is sort of, to me, I think what's going to pay off in this, to me that seems aggressive in some nature.
Yeah.
To me, what I think is going to pay off is us taking our energies and sort of planting them in our garden, which is going to create the beautiful flowers and trees. Versus, because what I found, and it just came to me too, not now but before, that he was almost, there seemed to be hypocrisy there, because at one level he would say, at a certain point, we won't be talking to these people, right? Because we're sort of playing their game.
Yeah.
And yet he's then stating for us to play their game by continuing to sort of create all of this sort of paperwork, which really, if you think about it, even that's a facade.
Yeah.
Because we shouldn't have to be writing to anyone,
Exactly.
say anything to anyone,
Exactly.
be claiming anything. Right? So I started to wonder what I found it interesting that we couldn't see his face.
Yeah.
Just on those sort of levels. I mean, I know.
No, but we see them. Yeah, like we
I'm
see them.
sure.
You know,
Okay,
we can
fine.
talk to
I'm
them and
just
stuff.
saying that that's another.
Well, I mean, ultimately, it's people's perspective, right? You know what I mean? Like, just like I'm saying, a lot of people don't take a second to consider what Noble Drew Ali brought. They just figure, oh well, you know, that's from 1913, so it doesn't really apply now because it's 2012, Aquarian age and whatever. But
I think in talking to the chairman here, when he talks about some of these things, what I realized is that I think he used the deific. So what did they use, chairman? Deific or
Speaking on what?
a Noble Drew Ali and who he was. Juridic, right? So,
Juridic, yeah.
So basically, his teachings transcend time.
Yeah.
Right, he's the judge.
Yeah, but
He's the judge.
But not only then,
yeah.
not only the past, the present, and the future.
Right.
That's
because
right.
all of his stuff, when reading in the Bible,
Right,
and talking about a person speaking from that is never wrong because
they know
because they have. So to me, I was a little bit taken aback by that approach, as well as almost an attack on sort of the leaders of every one of these temples, saying that it's in a sort of backhand.
Well, one thing he was specific about was that he identified the Moorish Science Temple when he was talking about the dirty Moors and all that type of stuff, the leaders who weren't doing anything and all that. He identified them as Moorish Science Temple of America, INC.
Okay.
Right?
Incorporated, which is
exactly.
No, but he was also stating that if we were to claim ourselves as Moors, we were really claiming ourselves to be part of this organization versus being indigenous, which is what he was trying to say. Right? Which I found another.
Yeah, which comes back to the thing about perspective. Well, because everybody out there that's studious, they know that Moors are the indigenous people of the Americas. Right. Like, it's not something anybody's going to debate. Right? It's not going to turn into, well, I'm trying to prove who's the real, you know what I mean?
No, because but what I sensed it did for me, in a sense, and I'll just pass it on afterwards, I sensed what it was doing was taking away from the cohesion of the unit. Because to me, this is important to sort of be under the heading of the Moors, or to come into my family, versus sort of saying, okay, I can just walk, which is what we've been talking about anyways. I can just walk outside and declare myself free man.
Well, I mean, you can.
Which is what we are.
You know what I mean?
Which is what we are. But to me, I'm seeing that as a division.
That's why.
Right.
No,
I'm seeing that as a division versus a unity.
Right? Because again, too, like, you're speaking from the perspective of a member. You're speaking from the perspective of someone who is down with this, and you come to class and you know about Noble Drew Ali and you consider him on because you're brought in on the right perspective. But somebody who's on the outside and Noble Drew Ali comes to their head and then they go punch up Noble Drew Ali in the computer or go Google Noble Drew Ali, they're looking at that as just some confusion and they don't want nothing to do with it. and they'll run away from it. That's how they'll look at it, right? Like I know that's how he looks at it based on how he saw it, because he's not a member. He doesn't know the intricacies of like really what the temple's about and how much it directly connects to what he's doing, because he's saying he's a nation.
But that's where I was
Right.
seeing a lot of this hypocrisy.
Right.
Sort of, it's almost in a sense following the image a bit and then planting himself as
Well, that again too. That's not necessarily out of insincerity.
no, and I agree.
That's out of lack of information,
I
lack
agree.
of perspective, right? Just like Noah Drawley said, if you lose faith in either prophet, put on your card, whatever card you made or whatever, put on your buttons and put on your fez and return to the state where I found you. Right? What state was he talking about?
State of being dead.
The corporate state, right? Because he really brought us out of it. But anybody who says El or Bay on their name, right? In 2012, they have to give honors to Noah Drawley. If they don't, then justice will take its course when it's ready to do that, because you can't go against what the prophet brought.
That's why I'm here. I'm just saying that finding it difficult to swallow some of this.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just like anything else.
Well, I agree.
You know what I mean? It's just like
we can
take some
that.
books off the shelf.
No, or we can let's think about that demonstration or presentation we went to the week before that.
Right. Yeah.
In terms of just that same kind of, the same about take. But what I'm saying is dangerous is I was hyped for that lecture. Yeah. And I came in and I'm glad I was on my square, because part of me could have walked out of there going. Part of me did walk out of there going. Yeah. What's going on? Yeah. Right? But it took me just about 30 seconds to shake it off and go, okay, that's man's opinion. Yeah. Exactly. Stuff. Yeah. But that worries me because I always find it's like sort of there's two doors, one right next to the other. Yeah, but again, if you follow the prophet, there's only one door. I agree. But you're not going to get trapped in the. I'm just talking about the ones who are maybe on the fence, like you're talking about. And that's their. I agree. That's their position. I know. You know what I mean? If somebody says, I think he's and then they make their transition. Like, it's cool. You can see your birthright. Right? Like, I have no issue with what he's doing, what he said, whatever, because, he's El Bay on his name. So, like, you can make whatever claim. Right. But opinion is no proof of truth. Huh. So, you can do your thing. You know what I'm saying? Do what you do. Right? The only reason that we put him on is because he has a fez on. He says that he's El Bay, and we're showing unity amongst the Moors. Right? Yes. Regardless of his opinion of how he feels about certain things, I know that he's a Moor. I know that at least that for sure, that he's a Moor, regardless of everything else that he talks about. I know for sure that he's a Moor, and I know that he has some information that Moors who are the adepts, the scientists, they'll be able to sift through, sift through the flour and
sometimes, a lot of time, I guess the word personality or something like that overtakes the speaker and the topic, and he starts putting his own little spin into it. It happens even when I speak. You know what I mean?
With everybody.
Yeah. So there's a lot of times I say something and then in my mind, or later on, I might think that and be like, oh, maybe as I think back on it, everybody didn't get it the way I meant them to get it. But that's it too. A lot of we still have ego. Everybody still. It's not wrong to be to say that you're sovereign, because you are. Like, say that you can go out and do all these things. But the main thing about it is he's hell. He's big. He right there, that gave him the authority to make those type of claims.
Yeah, just like
he's acknowledged
Alim Bay,
what
right?
he needed to acknowledge.
Alim Bay made the claim Moors need to get off Noble Drew Ali's dick. Right?
Who's this again?
Alim Bey
The guy from
from North Carolina. Right? And
Washington.
Washita Prince. Right? Now, that's his opinion. Right? Based on how Moors were just hugging up Noble Drew Ali like some teddy bear. Right? When he brought you everything that it takes to save a nation. So, like, you know, go do something.
Yeah.
Or you just quoting the prophet and talking about the prophet and you're not doing anything. So yeah, get off his dick. You know what I mean? That's not no dishonor to the prophet. Right? But look at him in the perspective that he's supposed to be looking at. Right? He's not even a man. He's a juridic person, juridic entity. That's what he is. It's not even an individual.
One thing that you said just
You
now
know?
a little while ago, I'm not gonna quote you correctly or something, but you said that this is your prophet, like this is you. The way you explained it, like you put your faith in all of what the prophet is, and to me that there was like that's it for you. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to worry. You're in the right direction, the right spot.
I'm not worried about me per se.
Yeah.
I'm just worried about
Someone else.
I'm just always sort of whatever. It's not
Yeah.
me who's speaking. It's the Spirit who speaks to me.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying. I think he was even now that he brings this up, I think he was saying someone else. Some other day was for the SHIT too. I think some day or someone else. Remember he made some comment about some day.
I mean, I know he called enough people's
out,
names.
right? So I
He
was
called
just,
enough people's names.
yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's a thing of, it's not a thing of,
I guess
trying
it's
to
cause any distinction, but I'm just
but
saying to me it feels a bit felt a bit uncomfortable because even some of the other speakers I've never seen people being so adamant about sort of calling other people out in a negative connotation when as a nation you're going to have some people who like red, some people like blue.
Sure.
But the guy on the blue side, I haven't heard the guy on the blue side going, the guy on the red side is full of SHIT, right? So that was just for me understanding that as that could be his style, just being worried about sort of on the surface there being sort of seeming to be somewhat hypocrisy. If you want to take his side. There should only be one side, not two sides.
Well, this is what, and comes back to that same thing again. You know what I mean? That, okay, well, there's Drew Ali, and then there's,
And that's it.
right? Because the concept of us, us studying the law, for example, right? Us knowing about this fraud called birth certificate fraud and etc. Right? Like that's Noble Drew Ali. That's civics. He's the only one who came teaching civics and say Morris learned civics and study the law and study the Constitution and stuff and that type of tone. He's the only one that brought it. So anybody who has, whether they wear a fez or not, is irrelevant. Right? Once they're speaking on that perspective, that's the foundation. Whether they want to believe it or accept it or not, that's between them and the higher force. It has nothing to do with me. I'm not concerned. Right? If you want to say he's not yours and you don't want to call yourself more and whatever, do your thing. I'm not even bothered because I know that you're not gonna make it through. Like you're stating your claim, right? You're stating your claim, and you don't have to counterclaim every claim, especially if the claim that's being made is fraud. Why am I gonna? Because my claim to counter their fraud claim is giving their claim clout. is giving their claim validity
Exactly what I-
or power.
So enter into
Right.
their realm.
Yeah,
Like them, you have no business in there.
no reason to, right? But we go there and fight the battle just because we need to prove to people that this is real. You know what I mean? Like,
When you Tesla, when you read those two lines, what was the first one? Something about putting it in the temple's name. Doing business to the temple. And the reason why I bring that up is because I'm thinking about would it be better move? I'm thinking if say someone was to try to allodial title their land, where their house is. Yeah. Would it be better for them to put that, just start signing everything over to the temple? So who's ever trying to make that mortgage claim now has to, you don't face me, the temple has made the claim. It's claiming this land.
yeah, but that's to be in your possession first.
So,
It can't be in the straw given over to the temple.
yeah. So how would that have to go? What?
Yeah, that should be a allodial title.
Huh?
That should be a allodial title. When you have the allodial title, then you can do
So
whatever
the
you want.
straw has to sign it over to.
Not necessarily sign it
Straw
over.
never had.
but
Straw never had.
Straw never had
really
in
had.
the first place.
Yeah. So how would that work? Yeah.
So
I'm thinking more of putting it in the temple name
impression I'm
instead
more
of
getting is
my name.
you would have to really have declared yourself in
But
person.
At the same
So
time,
then-
why
and then-
why can't the temple disclaim?
Technically, I think we
can't
should be.
disclaim everything because it really is belonging to the temple.
Right.
Ultimately, yeah.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
So why would I have to play in the middle part as having rolled with that?
Yeah, because you're the one that's connected to that straw that is attached to the deed.
So then he does
So
ask.
that
To me, he does ask a good question. How does he then get it?
and that's what we're saying by creating a allodial title, right? And stop making the payments. And then it's gonna go to court. And then
Yeah, but I
then-
wanted to go to court with
because it's not gonna go to court, because first of all,
against the temple, not against
the payments, right? Once the payments aren't made, they're gonna try to get the payments first, and if that doesn't work, then they're gonna go through the protocol.
Yeah.
So the protocol could be a year, 2 years. Just because that's just how it runs. Just because they already know
Well, you're talking
what you're dealing with.
foreclosure and stuff like that.
Yeah, like it would have to go through that
You
process.
then go to court with your stuff and being on your square and have all your info and call them out as frauds, and then it should all
Yeah, because the same thing you're.
So
That's the only way it's gonna.
I'm not
they've done
thinking
that.
about me going to court. I'm thinking about the temple going to court.
No, well, you are the temple.
Yeah, because you're trustee.
Because
Your
you're a
body is
trustee.
your temple.
Well,
Because you're a trustee.
I want counsel.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
but you can have counsel, but
That's
counsel
fine.
is for if you're in distress. Like you're the one that has the right for claim. You don't need.
Yeah, well, I'm in distress because somebody's trying to say I don't have the right to
You
claim.
know what?
No,
I think
but
that this is what-
yeah, but why? Because you're the one that went and contracted in the first place.
you
It's
know
a
what?
it's a karma thing. Like you can't pass the karma off.
You know what?
You know what I mean?
So
Like
then-
we have a responsibility
This is where I think.
to clean the slate
So this is
and
where
then start dishing out stuff.
this is where I think that
Right.
when we talk about having a legal department, part of the temple, that you could then have a team of people help you with this. I think your brothers would help you, but ultimately it's your battle with that ship.
Yeah.
Right? And then you might have us come to help,
Right, exactly.
but it's really
Exactly.
you're at the front.
That's why I
battling.
mentioned counsel.
So that's right.
I don't.
I agree with you.
I don't really. I'm not too
familiar or sure about how they proceed in their legal realm, whether you're even allowed to have counsel nowadays. Like I don't, especially like I don't know what type of court that would even lead us into.
Well, like that's the
Small claims,
but that's the
not a
thing with
small
like
claim, right?
the different perspectives and different opinions, right? It's like different Moors have succeeded with different
with
things.
different things. So there's not no one approach.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like there is there is things that Drew Ali brought, but as far as dealing with like a fraud, when you're a nation, you don't have to deal with fraud. But we haven't really established that yet. We have the claim, we have the title, right? We have our heritage, but we haven't like reestablished the nation yet. So, like, as far as doing battle, like, there's more who have done that and succeeded. Like, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
so
like it's not like
it's
there's
best
not,
to go,
yeah, like,
get that information, study
works.
that a bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
My question is like, say if I'm corporate state and I'm buying a house, when I'm done paying the mortgage, is the deed in my
Mortgage,
installment?
you never done pay mortgage. You
No,
done pay off
no.
the house. You don't.
Come
Mortgage,
from the bridge.
mortgage
We're
is something
dead.
you pay to death.
Mhm.
That's mortgage means debt.
Okay,
But
well,
like-
say if the house was like 500,000,
Yeah, that's
30 years,
that's
right?
the house. That's not mortgage.
but
Okay, so then after
what you get, whatever they're gonna give you is not lawful title.
It's like this.
Okay, that's what I wanted to get to.
Just because they're gonna give you a deed.
It's
Okay,
like
and
this.
the deed's
You,
not
you
titled.
buy the house.
Mhm.
Now people have confused that with that they think they bought the house. This is my land now. You didn't buy no land. You bought the house. Mortgage, when you $500,000, 25 years, paid it up, 25 years. You're still going to be getting charged 2 bills a month or whatever it is. That's what mortgage is. That's even gonna be in all those payments you've been making for 25 years. That's them taxing you
Property tax.
property tax, your land. So that's what we're really dealing with. Like, yeah, you do gotta pay for the house. That's not the argument. The argument is, why am I still paying when the house is paid off?
Okay, so you mentioned property tax, right? So when you look up express trust, it says it's not subject to foreign corporation laws of any state, not inherently subject to commercial regulation, except for income derived from corporate stock and physical franchises under Article 1, Section Clauses 1 and 3. Express trust is a valid legal entity in the states of the Union. All federal excise tax and state organization and franchise taxes are legally avoided. Right? So before there's a grand national treasurer to distribute assistance or whatever, you want to know like how a trustee deals with things, because as far as using the temple, that was compromised. And like Grand Sheikh says, the prophet knew already, right? Like he knew that they were gonna come and take it. Like that was a trap. So there's people who are still trying to figure out ways to use the temple, and when really, if you're serious about the prophet, then temples rarely even it's useful for whatever, for your own specific things, right? Really, it's all about the trust that you put in, so that it's always there in your mind that you put that trust in the prophet, right? And vice versa. Because when we talk about Grand National Treasurer, under Treasurer in the administrative functions, Section 8, it says the Treasurer will skillfully invest any finance or holdings of the Moorish society with the assistance and counsel of the Round Table Trustees Board. So he says right there, Round Table Trustees Board. Right? So that's what, when we talk about the foundation, the prophet bringing, like it's all there, and we're just supposed to, but it's not like another concept that has to be understood is don't be fooled into thinking that like there's like a more or a couple mores or out there who get it, who understand everything. It's not. We're not even there yet. People can try and tell you stuff, but like it's an entire nation that we're building. He was all that in a single person, and then he had to make an administrative functions booklet and give his treasury information, write that out, and his chairman information, write out that out, and his grand chief information and write that out, right? And then other information and the 101s and the Circle 7, and then that takes comprehension by everybody, but each person is not going to understand everything.
Like, think about that. Like, he was the nation in one person.
Yeah, because he was the only one who was.
He was the only one that was on it.
So all that was like he was in him.
So the language of that functions, the administrative function, is that very similar to the specific? Like,
No, that's like
straight up.
That's yeah. It's not coded. No. Right. It's like it's telling you, this is what has to be done.
Yeah.
I mean, your title is this. This is your job. Bam, 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 bam,
Yeah,
bam,
like
bam.
that.
That's
Yeah,
your job.
this
That's
is
your
the functions, right?
This is
Circle
your
7
title?
was your heritage, right? 101s, the heritage and the trust corpus, as well as the Circle 7, right? So you have some documents that represented the trust instrument. You have a document that represents trustees' functions. You have a document that represents. You have documents that represent beneficiaries in the letters that he sent to Moors, right? And his predictions about the future and what will happen if you follow him and be faithful, right?
Are all these available on charges?
Well, most of them are available on our site. Yeah. So in all that, that was him setting up an express trust
for the Moors.
For like real, like serious
not for
Moors.
himself to be the head of it, and then he tell everybody what they're supposed to do. For the Moors to have their vast estate back. For the Moors to say, we don't want to be slaves anymore, right? We're gonna go become members, learn about our nationality and our birthrights, and then leave the temple as free national beings, taking our place amongst the affairs of men. But we should have did that already. So we're 98 years, 99 years behind. But we're supposed to do that from 1913. That was supposed to be done. Like, nobody was supposed to be having any qualms, nothing. Just go join the temple and then go back to doing what you're doing. Just do it in your free name. But they didn't want to do that because everybody wants to get their props for the work that they're doing. Right? Tesla doesn't get no funds. The mufti's standing up 5-6 hours at the door. They're not getting paid to do that. They're here because they're Moors and they have to defend the Prophet. They're not here for compensation.
The whole trust concept really clicked into like the birds.
Right, revise.
That kind of that's starting to make sense.
Yeah.
Now with this all that, right?
Yeah. Because people
More
think
here than just
one
little sentence here.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. So like we were talking about, there's readings, so we're just gonna jump in and get these readings out the way from Brother Omar's on the readings, right? So we need to get the readings out the way. No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Is it not the case that outside of marriage law and inheritance, that the construct is that all the land in Canada is common land?
Well, I mean, they say it's crown land, but it's not that.
And the queen is a farce.
Right, yeah.
Exactly.
Right. So
when it comes to this paying the taxes and all that stuff,
yeah.
it's all part of that system.
Right. Yeah.
But again, that's not it has nothing to do with our title. In fact, our entitlement is yours.
Right.
I think that the trickery there is they say all the land in Canada is crown land. Canada is not even part of the land.
Yeah, the
So
Interpretation Act says
that's
it's
what
body
it
of
is.
water.
Okay.
It's on the body of water. Canada is on the body of water.
So they can, and it's theirs. They made Canada, and everything in Canada belongs to them. So, and they didn't. That's the thing. They operate over the North American land and on it, but they don't have a claim on it.
Right.
But because the majority is not in the know, so they can pull that on you, pull those scams on you. It's always, and that's the thing a lot with them. You have to listen to the words carefully. Like they'll be like, "Oh, you're on Canadian land. This is Canada." But you know what I'm saying? They'll stick to saying things like They'll never say that this is North America. That throws off their whole Canada plate. Or even if they say it, it'll be worded. They'll say it in a sentence that will cover them.
So, first reading, January 15th, 1929. A warning from the prophet to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitating speeches while on their job, homes, and on the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with the Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. The cards are for your salvation. Failure of obeying my orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet, and if they lose confidence in their prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the Prophet Noble Jew Ali. And if the Prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The Prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting their Prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the Prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Noble Jew Ali. Right? And then remember that Noble Jew Ali is the juridic name. That's not the man. The man is Timothy Drew and Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali. The entity is Noble Drew Ali, and then everything is going to say Noble Drew Ali at the end of it. Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Noble Drew Ali. Right? So to be proclaimed every meeting. March 18th, 1929. Islam. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement by now, by the same people on our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme they can to disqualify me so they themselves may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes to jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven in my works which I have performed in the last few days. And then keep in mind too, the nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head.
This reading is going to come
Right? Right? But let's look at it on a broader perspective. He didn't say that the nations would not recognize the Moorish movement. He said the movement. Majority of these organizations out here, right, that are Negro black colored, they call themselves a movement.
Just say it again, that last.
The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the last few days. Some of his works that he performed in the last few days was going to go visit Marcus Garvey. Right? Some of the works that he performed in the last few days was giving us our title and our name and our vast estate. Going to the conference in Havana, right? Getting the mandate back in front of all the Indians and everybody, so everybody knows what's good. Everybody else was there, right? No, all the American, the indigenous people, right? So it was all like laid out, real simple.
You made some comment there. We have to finish up. So you're saying something that movements happen, and they can happen from black, colored, and Ethiopian groups.
Yeah.
Are you saying Moorish movements are also happening, or are you saying that this said that the movements won't be recognized without him as the head? Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what the movement is.
So regardless of what the movement is, the prophet's supposed to be the head of it.
All gotta come together. Yeah. And you're not going to have the prophet, the head of the movement, if you're a pro-black movement. So you're not going to get recognized.
So you're not going to get recognized. Simple. And we'll do whatever we want to you.
If you have the
Make a mockery of you.
If you have the prophet as the head, then your movement must be about nationality.
Right.
Because that's what he was about.
Exactly. Were there any comments or questions from today? Everything is straight.
I asked a question about the Lodial title.
Mm-hmm.
How is that created? Like, well, I know that you have it. How is it like expressed to the other nations or the corporations that have somewhat control, so-called control right now, where they're respected in a way where they leave you alone?
Well, on a local level, like we can do that ourselves, right? But it's in your speech and how you know what I mean, like you won't hear that we have residency if we're using our free national name, right? And we have domicile. And this is Northwest Mexico. This is not North America, right? You know what I mean? So the allodial title is more oral as far as like the Moors jurisdiction in the Americas, right? You know, because there's not, in my opinion, there's not a paper that says yes, this is the title of all the Moors, and then everybody can get a copy and we can put it on the wall and say, yeah, we have the title. You know what I mean? Like the title is the fact that your name is El or Day or Ali or whatever. The title is the claim that you're making. You know, the title is, are you noble? Are you lord? Are you a sheik? Are you, like, what's your position? You know, that's what creates the whole jurisdiction of being even able to make the claim that there is such thing as an allodial title and an express trust and nobody draw legal 1913 and blah, 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 because you know.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But again, sorry. We have to also too keep in mind that it's 99 years So a lot of things that we in our heart want to happen right now, it's not gonna happen because it should have been happening from 99 years ago.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, see,
You know?
my brother, he has his house.
Yeah.
So, like, I think it's a bad idea to stop paying the mortgage.
Yeah.
When they say
No.
pay off the house,
Yeah.
and then like with Nathan or the kids, and you have your low income and it's passed down to them,
Right.
and they'll be in the balance.
Yeah.
You don't have to deal with all that. It's already there.
Well, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
okay.
take the brunt of this. This is how I'm seeing it now.
Yeah, and then
But my daughter's, she's all dialed into the system now. We're trying to keep her out.
Yeah.
But that's just what I have to bear, and I'm gonna take the brunt.
So the knowledge.
But we just passed down, but the waste passed down is different.
Yeah. Because I mean, you can even like talk with some people, because there's people who've gone that route, and they have no mortgage right now. Yeah. They're free and clear, right? They didn't get any calls from anybody. Nobody came send them a letter to go to court. Nothing like.
It's all set up, right?
They made a claim. They made a approach, and the approach was received. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want to touch it from the people who have the mortgages, and they're in there right now, living. Like, all they're paying is their electric and their heat. No mortgage payment. Didn't finish paying it off even.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because it's like, you realize that there's a fraud, but like we were saying earlier, it's expression. It's expression. Like, how are you really sure about writing all rights reserved UCC on this thing, or are you like, okay, should I write it? Okay, let's see what they say.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And then they say, "Oh no, that doesn't."
Sometimes I'm solid,
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Other days.
Yeah. And then when they say, "Oh no, you guys are racist. You just don't want me to sign my thing." When your intention in the beginning was fragile, you know what I mean? And they just stepped on your claim. You had something?
No, it was just in terms of, I think, the earlier part of it. I think one of the halves is claiming your stuff, claiming who you are.
Right.
The other half is disengaging from them, and this is where the suits happen.
Right.
You're sort of taking yourself out of their jurisdiction, their fraudulent jurisdiction, and that's what the end of it all with the suits is, which is finally taking the law, which is what I was talking to another brother here about how sort of this is the sorcery, because the sorcery is the lie, but it's based on the truth.
Yeah.
Right? They're taking the Constitution and they're taking some parts of it,
Yeah.
and they're basing it on it, but they're not basing it on the rest of it. Right?
Right.
So you're just calling them to task on that. And then the same people, that's right, the same people that are sworn in who are wearing fezzes, they're the same ones who have to, in all good standing with the law of God, have to then honor that,
Right.
which then says this is fraudulent.
Right.
But it's because we've signed our names to the fraud, which has allowed them to continue ruling us. So you're just saying, hi, I'm back on land again. You're back in the water.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's the real half of it. That's the biggest half.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
That's what I've understood.
Yeah. Right.
That's where you're standing on the square,
Right.
saying, get out. And at the end of the day, they have to honor that. So you may still be found, like you said, guilty, or you may not. It may be found thrown out, but that's because it's fraud.
Yeah.
And again, right?
Yeah. Right. So tomorrow again, we'll be here, same time, and we'll just continue on from today, because I know Chairman had some more of the trust things to go through.
Tomorrow again.
And same time, 7.
So I'm not sure if I'll be here for tomorrow for that, but next week, we'll outline some stuff. Next week we'll have a general meeting, and then we'll go into more like some trustee stuff.
So that's going to be at the bookstore, and that's not going to be on Sunday.
Yeah, no.
Sunday? Oh, downtown.
So on Tuesday,
Next Tuesday.
Just say Islam to all the Moors in attendance.
Islam.
Islam to the Moors online in attendance. Give thanks for your support and tuning in. And we'll just close out with the prayer.
Alright. 5 on the left and 2 on the right. Allah,
Allah,
the Father of the universe.
the Father of the universe.
Father of love.
mother and father of love,
truth,
truth,
peace,
peace,
freedom,
freedom,
and justice.
and justice.
Allows our protector,
our guide,
our guide, and our salvation.
and our salvation.
By night
And
by
by
day.
day.
Through his and her holy prophet.
Through his and her holy prophet.
Drew Ali. Amen.
Amen.
Amin.
Amin.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Otep.
Otep.
Islam.
Islam. Turn that.
What were you saying about the feast before? I couldn't hear you, Frankie.
Did I?
I'll wait till you're done. I don't